I guess there's an expanding Army of universe on Netflix that started with Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead, and it now continues with Army of Thieves. Is this a treasure to unlock, or should it be hidden away in a safe? Let's crack it and find out. Small-town bank teller Dieter gets drawn into the adventure of a lifetime when a mysterious woman recruits him to join a crew of Interpol's most wanted criminals as they attempt to heist a sequence of legendary, impossible-to-crack safes across Europe. So in Army of the Dead, one of my favorite characters was Dieter. He was likable and funny, especially because he was the one asking a lot of the questions that really everybody else should have been asking. In Army of Thieves, this is Dieter's story. It takes place slightly before AOD, but not too much because we see on TV news reports that a zombie outbreak has occurred in Las Vegas. I like how they tie in the universe that is beginning, which gives it a cohesive feel. Matthias Schweighöfer, I think I said his name right, he stars and he also directs, which isn't always the easiest thing to do. Now as Dieter, he retains all of the quirks and idiosyncrasies that made him so lovable in the first movie. I mean, here we just get way more of him. Now the setup is pretty simple, as is the story. We have Dieter, who's charismatic but a loner. He's approached by an unknown woman and asked to join her crew of thieves. His interest is piqued because it involves cracking some of the most enigmatic and famous safes that were ever created. And from there, it's a heist and a chase movie. We get some backstory on the safes and why they're of interest to Dieter, and I found that pretty interesting. I have zero clue if it's real, but either way, the lore behind them was engaging. When the crew goes to the first heist, I really enjoyed the execution of how they show it being pulled off. They sort of call it out beforehand, making this semi-self-aware. As the heist goes along, we get to see banter back and forth with Natalie Emanuel, who is the leader of the thieves, and that I thought was a lot of fun. We also get to see more and more of Dieter's quirks and his habits, which are entertaining and a little humorous. But they're only entertaining and humorous the first time. We see the same repetitive progression of movements and routines for each of the heists, which then became uninteresting to me and then even a little annoying. The heists are also sort of the same each time. Now there are some slight nuances that are different, but really we watch the crew go in, do some cloak and dagger that they need to get to where they need to be, attempt to crack the safe, and then make their escape. Small portions within these scenarios were engaging, but they each went on for quite a while, and that time then felt more wasted than anything. While the team of thieves, or army, if you will, is sort of entertaining, there are aspects within the dynamic that unfortunately just felt pointless. There's a romantic angle that is fairly inconsequential, banter that doesn't really lead anywhere other than to show some misplaced antagonism, and then even exposition on characters that doesn't amount to anything. The movie is 2 hours and 7 minutes, and I felt the time. And that's mainly because of the repetition in the scenes. As I mentioned, this is Dieter's story, and while I enjoy the character and I think that the acting is wonderful, the movie isn't titled Dieter's Army of Thieves or Dieter and the Army of Thieves. It's just Army of Thieves. Well, I said Army of Thieves a lot there, didn't I? But the point is that so much focus is given to Dieter, and I'm not sure if that's because he was directing also, or if that's just how the story was envisioned. But I think we needed more with the group and a little less on Dieter by himself. And there were some entertaining portions within the group, and sometimes the dynamic of the thieves was engaging. But how it was crafted a lot of the time, it just all felt shallow and with no real purpose other than to watch the characters go from point A to point B. This also felt like a good portion of it was only existing to get us to his character in Army of the Dead. Now, I think this is filmed well. I mean, the shots look great, and I really enjoyed how the camera will show the interior of a safe as Dieter tries to crack it, just to show all of the complexities that are contained within. And that too did get repetitive, but it was a good effect to show us how things worked. I think the action is well crafted here too. So when some of the dominoes started falling, the sequence of events was exciting and then even tense at points. The chases also retained some urgency, which created suspense for those scenes. As the team is being pursued by Interpol, there's an agent in charge who's kind of all over the place. I mean, his inclusion actually reminded me a bit of Mark Ruffalo's character in Now You See Me, but just without the mystery. And for me, this character was distracting and just overacted. He was like a petulant toddler in most of the interactions, which then was a turnoff for the character. Now, I know it sounds like I'm totally down on this movie, but I'm not. There were portions that I was genuinely entertained with. And I really enjoy the character of Dieter and believe that Matthias Schweighöfer has created somebody special. I wish the movie would have been less repetitive and then more engaging in some of the other characters and storylines. Some of the graphics are wonderfully executed, especially when it came to the internal workings of the safes. And I also enjoyed the lore that was built around the creation of the safes and then how that knowledge is used to crack them. Overall though, this was just an okay watch for me that felt too long and didn't really lead anywhere. There's no sex or nudity, a lot of profanity, and a bunch of violence. I give Army of Thieves 3 out of 5 couches. So what are you watching this weekend? I'd love to hear what's on your binge list in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.